Hello, everyone. You are welcome to the JMA Connections this Sunday, the 14th day of June 2026. You are just watching and listening there to the rhythms of the Southern Cameroons, the rhythms of Ambazonia. And it's always a pleasure displaying this cultural splendor that is the hallmark of the Southern Cameroons, both in the northern and in the southern zones. And I couldn't be more grateful to the authors of this very interesting piece. That said, I'd like to extend hearty regards to all the people of the Southern Cameroons, wherever you are on be it on the national territory of the Southern Cameroons or out of the country, I should say, or in the diaspora. Accept hearty salutations from me today from the JMA Connections. And I'm delighted to welcome you to this platform. And if you are not yet subscribed to this platform, hopefully you do so the fastest possible so you'll be part of the conversations that we host on this platform. I want to begin by, extending heartfelt sympathy to the family of this very gorgeous and beautiful lady who lost her life in the state of Maryland here in the United States a few days ago. And reports indicate that she went behind the house to harvest just vegetable on her farm when a tree fell on her and killed her immediately. This is a very sad occurrence, very, very sad occurrence. And there's so much being said about this gentle lady by name AKUROH. AKUROH is reported to have just returned from the country where she went from home, from Cameroon, where she went to, drop her children for greater convenience, I guess, for holiday, so that, they could spend some time with the family while she returns to the United States to continue working. And unfortunately, upon her return, it didn't take long before AKUROH found herself in this very unfortunate circumstance, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, and with that unfortunate happening of a tree falling on her and killing her. This is, a very sad situation. Prior to this incident, there was so much talk about AKUROH's father, Mr. Njoya Paul, who I guess was a retired serviceman. As you can see in this picture, he was a retired serviceman, and he's already on retirement. But we learned that some armed men apparently captured him some weeks before Laura was meant to travel to the country, and demanded a huge ransom. And finally, Laura, I am told, and the story indicates, was forced to pay a ransom of 5 million CFA francs to the armed men who captured her in order to get her father regain his freedom. And as soon as Mr. Njoya Paul broke free from the hands of his captors, of course, AKUROH traveled back home, definitely met him, and left the children in the compound. Of course, I guess he should be one of those who were charged with looking after his children while Laura returned to the United States of America. While this is it's a very sad thing, a very horrible thing to happen to a young lady full of life, full of hope, full of determination, and full of focus, because it takes someone who's full of focus to be able to quickly raise that kind of money to rescue her father from the hands of captors. But the story around it, indicating that, her capture was the handiwork of Southern Cameroon's freedom fighters is what attracts my attention somehow. I feel really uncomfortable with the fact that people come to assertions, people come to conclusions without conducting any serious investigations, because we are not told anywhere that the talks from La République du Cameroon arrested anyone in connection with the capture and the eventual payment of ransom for the release of Mr. Njoya Paul. But I just see social media platforms like the Mimimefo Info and CNA and others simply asserting that he was captured by Ambazonian freedom fighters. I like us to always be very clear about this thing. We have seen a lot on the ground to demonstrate to us beyond reasonable doubt that some of the most sophisticated kidnapping for ransom rings are run by the thugs of La République du Cameroon in our land. I like us to be clear about this, because when this kind of thing happens and people are mourning, and then you get other people simply casting aspersions and saying some kind of nonsense, it makes sense to tell them, no, not so fast. You really have to halt with this. Because, truth be told, those who are truly fighting for the freedom of the Southern Cameroons, I would assure you that at least 90 to 95% of them, or should I say 98% of them even, will not be involved in this kidnapping for ransom. A lot of sensitization has been done. A few of them who had fallen to the, should I say, to the attraction of that kind of easy money to help them do the work that they are doing on behalf of the people of the Southern Cameroons. Those ones have been sensitized enough to understand that by doing this kind of bad action, they are putting the public against themselves. They will be indirectly turning the very people that they are fighting for against themselves. And we have seen them come out a lot of the time, capture impostors who are hardened bandits set free by La République du Cameroon from their dungeons in Douala, Yaounde, Bafoussam, and other cities, and send them to the Southern Cameroons to come wreaking this havoc, just in an effort to turn the people against their own very wishes and aspirations for freedom. The people of the Southern Cameroons have fought this ill, fought it all the way to the logical end. And I believe very, very strongly that today, more than ever before, everyone knows that this whole nonsense of kidnapping for ransom has also been the handiwork of some of the members of the CPDM crime syndicate who run their own personal kidnapping rings, because they tell themselves that that is the best way to turn the people against themselves and to kill the people's momentum and the people's quest for freedom. This is what it has been. I actually read names and showed pictures of soldiers of La République du Cameroon here in Kumba who were denounced by their own very colleague because they were involved in this kidnapping for ransom rings. If you look at the names under which a lot of those kidnappers receive mobile money transfers, those names are names of citizens of La République du Cameroon. Ask those who have paid those ransoms, because of those who have paid and displayed the mobile money numbers and the names, they always complain. They always say, in the end, we didn't even know who we're dealing with, because when you look at those names, they're names of citizens of La République du Cameroon. How do they find themselves? How do their identities find their way in the Southern Cameroons? This is something people should be asking a lot of questions about, rather than just falling to some of this nonsense that is being said over and over. I believe they tell themselves that, the more often a stupidity is repeated or a lie is told, and then with so much chorus around it, it will become the truth. No, we have seen this thing and seen very clearly. We have seen even in La République du Cameroon, where they are also doing armed robbery, sponsored and actually sometimes conducted directly by those people in uniform in La République du Cameroon. You look at them in our land, A good lot of them are building skyscrapers all over the place. Where do you think that they are getting this money from? Because the Cameroon government is not really paying allowances to a lot of those rank and file soldiers, even to some of those junior officers. Those who have access actually to the illicit money are the generals, are the top ones up there. But look at all of those people. When they are commanders, even to a certain level, look at what they are doing with money. It is because of this kind of activities, this kidnapping for ransom, looting of people's shops, breaking into people's businesses, and all they do at the end of the day, they know that they will apply the moniker Amber Boys to it, and it will flow. I like us to be really critical whenever we look at some of these things. It's unfortunate. There is no way we'll be able to stamp out this completely to get all of those bandits, those hardened bandits, those accomplices of these men and women in uniform who are doing this thing on our people. No way we can really get all of them, but we have to continue working. It is work in progress, and we have to keep our ears to the ground and continue to be very forceful as we fight to make sure that we get this dirt of the name of our liberation movement. True that there was a time that some people made careless statements. I wonder if they actually meant those statements. But the reality on the ground has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt. And a lot of people that I speak to on the ground, even the foot soldiers who are going around on a daily basis, they tell me that the majority of those kidnappers or ransom right now have got nothing completely to do with the Southern Cameroon's liberation movement. And of course, there's evidence by the day, whenever they capture any group that was attempting to collect a ransom, having kidnapped someone, you quickly realize that they don't have anything at all to do with the Southern Cameroon's liberation movement. We have to keep working to make sure that any single individual that is involved in this kind of practice, and that is fighting on the side of the people of the Southern Cameroons as a freedom fighters, should be exposed and dealt with accordingly. So it's regrettable. I hate to see the civilian population facing this kind of ire from a very organized setup, and generally cautioned by some individuals calling themselves our elite, who know these things, who are even involved themselves, and who benefit from it. The key reason a lot of them do not want to go for any form of dialogue. Whenever there's an opportunity for negotiations to begin, they stymie this from within. It is because of this kind of business. This is disgusting. It is unacceptable, and it should be condemned with the hardest terms. That said, let's begin our show with this thought. Wars begin when you will, but they do not end when you please. Listen to this again. Wars begin when you will, but they do not end when you please. This is by Niccolo Machiavelli, and this is contained in his book, The Prince, that was published in 1532. So see how long this wisdom has existed in the minds of people. That it's easy to begin a war, but very challenging to know how it ends. You see, when Paul Biya, the ailing nonagenarian senior dictator of La République du Cameroun, declared war on the people of the Southern Cameroons on the 30th of November 2017, he thought that it was going to be a walk in the park. But turns out it is exactly not that way. And since then, he has tried frantically to decree the end of this armed conflict that he started. I mean, to decree. But I guess year in, year out, he's finding it, he's understanding it, is dawning on him that though he started this genocidal war, the power to end it does not lie squarely in his hands. That it has to go through a process. That kind of process through which every single armed conflict of this magnitude goes through. An internationally mediated settlement. That is what it is. As we get into this conversation, I saw this post on Facebook and I had a very interesting laugh. You know why I had a very interesting laugh? Because people think People think that Southern Cameroonians have not learned over time. People think that as Southern Cameroonians, we have not finally understood who the citizens of La République du Cameroon are, who La République du Cameroon are, and that we are not taking them for whom they are. Posts like this one reveal a lot more than just those 3 lines. What it reveals very clearly is that we are not wasting our time when we sit on platforms like the JMA Connections to talk to our people. Because I recall telling our people all the time, all the way from 2017 to this day, that anytime people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Anytime people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. And over time, our people have come to understand that is people of La République du Cameroon generally consider that we don't belong. Because at the outbreak of this armed conflict, you could see on social media, a good lot of them called us les Biafrans. They said, quittez nos terres, thou should leave their lands and go away. We are Biafrans. They are not interested in us, they are interested in the land and the resources in the subsoil. They said so, triumphantly. We got quite some of them courageously come up on, sometimes even on national television, like it was the case with Amugu Bellinga, to say all they needed to do was declare a state of exception. They wanted to say declare a state of emergency in the southern Cameroons, shut down schools, shut down hospitals, shut down markets, shut down everything, and deal with the people squarely until the people are subdued. That tells you this person doesn't consider that you are a citizen of the same country, because if they did, they will not think that that is the kind of treatment you deserve for simply raising the little finger to say, I want to belong, because that's what it was at the time. Of course, we also listened to people like Jacques Zay, who went on was it Canal 2 or Vision Card, and said that they needed to do carry out an operation of deratisation. He qualified over 8 million people as rats that he just needed to bring this Arata bomb, permit me that in pidgin, and wipe them out for deratiser. Yeah, that was Jacques Zay. And of course, we heard Okalia Bilai Bernard, the colonial governor in the southern zone, come out and say, after the demonstrations on the 21st of September 2017, where he saw millions of southern Cameroonians led by the Takamans in the street, he came out and said what? And said everybody should hold its dog. They described 8 million southern Cameroonians, or described the people of the southern zone that are supposedly under his administrative command as dogs. So we've heard this over and over. And of course, that is why election cycle after election cycle in La République du Cameroon since 2017, we have not failed to sensitize our people to the need to stay clear. We don't belong. Those elections don't concern us. They have never ever concerned us. And so we don't have any business getting involved, be it during the campaigns, during voting, or during the post-election crisis, because for La République, post-election crisis, of course, are a natural occurrence, because no election is ever free and fair in that country, and so always they expect people to go to the streets, they will kill a number of them, and the rest will escape. So we took time up to sensitize the people of the southern Cameroons clearly and warn them, don't be involved in any demonstration anywhere, because that does not concern us. It has nothing to do with us. And of course, this post and the statistics, made available by the legal team representing Issa Chiruma Bakari, demonstrates beyond reasonable doubt that the people of the southern Cameroons have decoded this message, and that as a matter of fact, clearly, these are two countries, two political philosophies, and two separate destinies. No meeting point at all. So if there's been any way ever to communicate to these people that we have decided never to be involved in anything regarding their territory, in anything regarding the politics in their country, and they could go ahead with it, then this is very strong evidence to that effect. That said, I'd like us to take a short trip to Belo. And you know, Belo has been in the news lately a lot. Belo has been in the news a lot because of the killing of the brigade commander and, of course, one of his staff on duty at the brigade, following an attack on the brigade by Southern Cameroon's freedom fighters. Of course, they claimed responsibility for, that act, because they pointed out that that act was an act in accordance with the efforts to get La République du Cameroon out of the Southern Cameroons and to free the homeland. Now, I'd like us to watch this short video. It's about 2 minutes and a few seconds. It's actually a report, but at the end of it, I will tell you exactly where I want us to watch it together. So, hang on there.
The population of Belo in Boyo division of the Northwest region this Wednesday, May 20, joined the rest of the nation in commemorating the 54th edition of Cameroon's National Day in an atmosphere marked by patriotism, resilience and cause for unity. Activities took place under tight security in the presence of local, administrative and municipal authorities. The celebration began with the hoisting of the national flag and the singing of the national anthem under the watchful eyes of the divisional officer for Belo, who used the occasion to call for peace and unity.
Peace is a matter of everybody, everyone should be concerned. So all of us should join our hands together so that Belo should be great again.
Authorities used the occasion to call on the population to embrace peace, dialogue and collaboration for the development of Belo. The mayor of the Belo Council, Yaounde, congratulated the local administration for their efforts in ensuring that peace reigns. The municipal landlady also used the occasion to preach peace to her people.
And to call on every other person, every citizen of Belo, every elite of Belo to contribute in his or her own little way to make sure that we come back home. I want to tell my people here in Belo that I am very grateful that they are there and they are keeping the peace that we badly need.
Despite the socio-political challenges that have affected parts of the region in recent years, today's successful celebration in Belo is seen by many residents as a sign of resilience and the people's attachment to national unity and coexistence. Militants of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, dressed in their party fabric, celebrated Cameroon's National Day in grand style.
Our president, our president, our president.
The population of Belo in Boyo.
So, as you can see from this video, you will realize that the reporter talks of a very successful celebration of 20th May activities in Belo. That's what I see. Oh, thank you very much in the audience for alerting me that I'm so far. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad I saw your comment. Yeah, so I'm saying that, the reporter ends up by saying that it was a very successful 20th May celebration in Belo. You and I watched this video, and you saw that, of course, in the grandstand were just those CPDM people, those members of the CPDM crime syndicate, those people who have decided that they are enemies of the people of the Southern Cameroons, that they must force the people of the Southern Cameroons to continue to submit to La République du Cameroon in slavery and servitude. They were the only ones at the tribune. And even when the colonial divisional officer went out, of course, to shake hands with the constituted corps, you saw there were only two people. The mayor appointed from Yaounde, that lady, and then I guess with the brigade commander. And then when it came to the march past proper, you saw that just the colonial forces or the army of occupation of La République du Cameroon that marched past, and then followed, of course, by the CPDM or those members of the CPDM crime syndicate, whom they, of course, protected in armored cars to bring to the grandstand. You did not see any single civilian as shy of those members of the CPDM crime syndicate, whom in this circumstance are not even considered as civilians and considered them as foreigners. So you see, shy of those, there was nobody from Belo who came out there that they were coming to celebrate 20th May. No schools. You didn't see school children. Nothing. You didn't see even those professional groups, even the trade unions. Nothing. Completely. This is a clear message. It was a clear message to La République du Cameroon that in Belo, the people have made their choice. That in Belo, the people clearly do not want to have anything whatsoever to do with La République du Cameroon. The message was clear. And the message also demonstrated, this video demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that this lady calling herself mayor and the person standing by her as the deputy, that they are not of the people. They're not elected by the people. The people don't even recognize them. The people don't know them. And so they are appointed from Yaounde. These are colonial local government officials. Colonial local government officials appointed by Paul Biya to represent La République du Cameroon in Belo. That is why the mayor, who supposedly, of course, is from Belo, is an indigene from Belo, could not mobilize the population to come out there and do her bidding. She couldn't, because the people don't know her. And of course, she too doesn't know the people. Because last time I checked, she doesn't even live in Belo. She was just shipping in an armored car to come there for this charade. And so that is why it was therefore little surprise for me that in Belo there would generally be jubilation when something like what happened to the brigade commander and his staff fall. And so I was not also too surprised, although I've seen a lot of comments with people expressing really serious anger when they saw this post on a Facebook page run by the Belo Council. You see, they say tribute from the Belo Council to our fallen heroes. Our fallen heroes. And you see there, of course, the brigade commander and his staff that were killed in Belo. And the people of Belo ask themselves where their council is located, whose interest the council is protecting, who the council is working for, what is it that is at the center of discussion usually when the impostors meet in the name of the Belo Council. Because look at this, the questions come. Did the Belo Council come out at any time with any tribute paid to Sansoya or Somboyo, who was slaughtered in motion pictures and skinned like an animal, though he was physically challenged for no crime committed? The Belo Council, we heard nothing from the Belo Council. And if you're doubting, again, that maybe I'm going too far. There have been incidents where the Mbingo, the hospital in Mbingo, has been raided by these same dogs from La République du Cameroon. These same dogs that the Belo Council describes as heroes. What did the Belo Council say? Did they say anything? Because just so you know, I understand Bingo is under Belo local government area. What did they do? Because there have been several times that the dogs of La République du Cameroon have raided the Big Bingo hospital. Even to the point where a lot of medical personnel who were working there, who wanted to stay there, were forced to flee Bingo because of the incursions and because of the attacks and because of harassment by these dogs from La République du Cameroon. These are the people who are the heroes of the Belo Council. And just so you know, this video was shot in Belo. These same dogs were the ones who went to the farms in Belo and opened fire on people on their farms at random. Take a watch. I'm not inventing. So as you can see, those were people on their farms. But because these dogs faced fire from the freedom fighters, what did they do? They decided to fall on the poor farmers. They decided to fall on the local population in the farms. And they went to the farms and opened fire. You could hear them shooting at random on the farms. These are the people that the mayor of Belo, the colonial mayor of Belo, the impostor mayor of Belo, refers to as heroes. Sometimes some of these things are painful. Sometimes people say, but why don't we just ignore them? But we can't continue ignoring this kind of stupidity. Because the more we ignore them, the more we make them have that feeling, have that thought, have that mind to imagine that we have succumbed to them doing the wrong thing in our land. Just what you saw there, called 20th May celebration, which if you call successful is supposed to be a popular fiesta if the people felt attached to it, was a clear message to anyone to understand that Belo is no-go zone for La République du Cameroon. I guess this is clear. I want to thank you all for, paying careful attention with me right up to this moment, and I want to thank you for your comments on the live chat. I really want to thank you too for sharing the link to this communication as much as possible. And of course, if this is your first time on this platform, do well to, hit the subscribe button. As we now enter the fifth of our conversation, before I get into what is happening in Geneva, I stumbled on this just as I was walking into the studio that the British naval forces intercepted a shadow Russian oil tanker that was trying to violate their waters, bearing a flag of an African country. And guess what the African country is? Of course, Cameroon, bearing the flag of Cameroon. Just listen to this report that I followed on YouTube so you get, very quickly, the context.
British armed forces have intercepted a Shadow Fleet oil tanker attempting to pass through the English Channel. In a post on X, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, said, "In the early hours of this morning, I directed our armed forces to intercept a Shadow Fleet oil tanker attempting to pass through the English Channel. This successful operation delivers yet another blow to Russia and reminds those fueling Putin's war in Ukraine that we will not let them hide." Well, with me now is our correspondent, Vincent McBinney. Vincent, first of all, just explain what this Shadow Fleet is.
Well, Shadow Fleet are hundreds of Russian tankers that are used under different flags. So, for instance, in this case, the Smertel ship that has been impounded effectively by Britain is under a Cameroonian flag. So they sail under flags, and they're responsible for carrying about 75% of Russia's sanctioned oil. Now, this goes out around the world. It puts money in the coffers of the Kremlin to fund the missiles and drones that they're constantly firing at Ukraine. And the UK is a leader in tackling this fleet, having already sanctioned over 500 vessels. We share this intelligence with allies, the likes of France, which have also carried out these kind of operations. And it's seen the oil and gas revenues fall about 25% year on year in 2025.
Yeah, the UK.
So, I just wanted you to hear from, the lips of the British reporters themselves that this tanker, this shadow tanker, was bearing the flag of Cameroon. And you see, when you heard them say that, they continue to chase and frown at those countries that continue to sponsor Russia's what they described as illegal war against Ukraine or in Ukraine. Of course, they're citing Cameroon there as one of those rogue states. And of course, no one doubts that Cameroon is a rogue state. Cameroon has been a rogue state for a long time, for many, many, many years. Just that the world had not taken note until the outbreak of this phase of the southern Cameroon's territorial crisis. And so today, more and more people are beginning to track and understand that Cameroon has always been a rogue state, and it's only rogue states that will do some of this kind of things. So you want to know how some of this shadow tanking or these shadow tankers operate? How do they go? As to know, can they just take the Cameroon flag like that and fly it without Cameroon knowing because Russia is a superpower? Or hell no. I found out and they said, of course, they will always get permission, and they will always even register in the country in which they intend to use their flag for this kind of dirty business. So they say that the shadow tankers must have permission from the countries whose flags they fly. And so, under international maritime law, every commercial vessel must be registered in a specific country which acts as its flag state. So the flag state must officially authorize the ship to use its flag, which grants the ship the right to sail and places it under that country's jurisdiction. So in this case, this Russian, oil tanker was sailing under Cameroonian jurisdiction. So they say, however, shadow fleet operators frequently exploit the global registry system using some methods, among which are, what they call the flag convenience. So many shadow tankers use flags of convenience. That they register in countries such as, certain Pacific Island, African or Latin American nations that offer easy, low-cost registration and they conduct minimal vetting of the ship's safety, insurance, or actual ownership. So the flag states technically, of course, will generally grant permission, but often lack the resources or regulatory will to oversee the massive international fleets they register. So for a rogue country like Cameroon, they don't even do any vetting. They don't care to find out what is this, when you register, what is the vessel going to be used for, who has it and all whatnot. With the corrupt system in place, you always have this kind of things happen. And so it would have been a surprise if, they mentioned all in the negative sense and they don't mention Cameroon. I'm sure you've heard this gentleman often say something on Facebook that makes me laugh. That he says, dans le film des pays, le Cameroun c'est le chef bandit. Did you hear that? That dans le film des pays, le Cameroun c'est le chef bandit. That is, the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon themselves recognize that the country is one of the most rogue of all the rogue states that you can imagine. So that said, let's move over to Switzerland, where Paul Biyas has been for, about a week now. Yeah, exactly a week today on what they call a brief private stay. But we all know that he went out for medical attention. Of course, he's in a Geneva-based hospital, a small hospital in Geneva, where he is getting medical attention because, Paul Biyas crashed. He had a malaise during the reception at the Unity Palace of La République du Cameroon following their 20th May celebration, following the celebration of that lie that they call 20th May. So he had a malaise right there in the hall publicly, and of course all those who were there knew they had a malaise, and so therefore they had to do everything for him to go out for treatment. So right now I've been talking with a lot of people who are getting information as to what is happening in Switzerland, and they tell me although Mr. Biyas' health remains extremely precarious, right at this moment, there is absolutely no strict cause for alarm. On the contrary, I've been told that there's a massive campaign already going out there on social media. They will be sending out a lot of, information, making claims. They will get their own social media activists to go on social media, making claims as to, he's even already dead, they are just hiding, or he's already this and that has already happened, and all of those things, just because they want to continue gauging the atmosphere. They want to continue seeing exactly how things are happening. But what I've been told is the effort right now is to do everything to make sure when he is able to return to Cameroon, he should be strong enough to at least sit out there for a few days, attend one or two public events or do one or two things publicly for a few days, and then sign a decree naming a vice president so that no one will doubt that he signed it, because they would have seen him out there doing one or two things publicly, and then they'll say, okay, no, he's regained himself, he's back in good state, and he's the one who has signed that decree. Because what I'm told is there is massive fear right now that if his clock stops right now, the situation will be absolutely crazy. Because unknown to many, the battle for succession is stronger at the Unity Palace than it is anywhere else. Because right now, Chantal Biya, who had a patched-up affair, patched-up agreement with Frank Emmanuel Biya at some point, and we could see them, like gravitating closer to each other when she organized some of those birthday parties for Paul Biya, or did one or two things and wanted, public attention. Could see how Frank Biya, could even see her holding hands with Frank Biya and all of those. I understand that right now the daggers are out, completely drawn, and they can't see again eyeball to eyeball. And right now, there is even, a kind of division also almost along those lines within the military of La République du Cameroun at this point in time. Because right now, in a very coy manner, all parties that are seeking that succession are already checking loyalties within the various arms of the military. And what I am told is, in fact, this is beyond reasonable doubt, that the B, that is for now considered the most elitist of all of those forces, along with the special forces, because, Ferdinand Gongo also, by the use of their signature, created another force known as the special forces. So those two units, the special forces and the B, I'm told, are 100%. 100%. When they say 100%, they say so because the top commanders are all loyal to Ferdinand Gongo and the Chantal Biya faction right now. But they have issues with the Presidential Guard, which is still under the command of Ivo Desancio Yenwo, the general from Bui County in the southern Cameroons. And of course, for the regular army, that is where there is quite some confusion. Of course, that army is under the complete direction of the Minister of Defense. But again, another point, the Army Chief of Staff, René Claude Meka, who until today has not appeared anywhere publicly to be seen, who is rumored to have died, has yet to be replaced. And the issue with having to replace him is because there is no agreement between the various factions that are clearly at war today, very clearly at war. And I'm told that Chantal Biya is floating two possibilities only. Possibility number one, that her own son, Frank Ehetz, is made the vice president, or herself, Chantal Biya, is made the vice president. Sounds familiar? This may seem absurd, but this is exactly what is being said. It may sound absurd because the point is, she thought Ferdinand Gongo would be a good candidate for vice president. But on a second thought, she feels she could become president and Ferdinand Gongo the vice president, so that he will provide her the kind of technocratic assistance that she requires to run the country. Effectively, they've come to the conclusion that the people of Cameroon cannot do anything. And they are very convinced that all the voodoo practices that they have conducted right up to this far can outlast Paul Biya. So for that reason, they are taking all kinds of measures, and they'll be trying to float out this issue of oh, he's in very bad shape, or he's even already dead, and they're just waiting to see that arrangements are made and all of those things, to see if any of the other opponents that they don't know yet, some of the other the other protagonists for that particular position of president that they don't know yet, to see if they will rear their ugly heads, so that it will be easier for them to cut off those heads before the real battle begins. So that is what is going on right now in La République du Cameroon. That is the calculation that is being made right now in Geneva, in Switzerland, as we speak. But trust me, it's really not going to be easy, because the battle between Frank Biya and Georges Gilbert Baounla has not ended. Because understand now that Georges Gilbert Baounla has support within President Paul Biya's family, right in Vomeka. That is now having support within President Paul Biya's own family, right in Vomeka, who believe that absolutely he is, if they talk about that, he is the real son of Paul Biya, and not Frank Emmanuel Biya, whom they say his father is from the littoral. And so for that reason, they don't even find, there are even some quarters who are saying that the father, that Frank Biya's father, could absolutely be Mark Nebo. Mark Nebo was a Southern Cameroon's journalist. I don't know how true that other direction is, but there is, I've got a lot and all of those things going on around the paternity of Frank Biya. But what is certain, that one which is certain, is that Frank is not Paul Biya's son. And the members of the Biya family, who are quietly, calmly, and without any noise, throwing their weight behind Georges Gilbert Baounla, make this point very clear. That is where things stand. My ears will continue to be on the ground, right to the ground, as I monitor the situation. And anytime anything new comes up, I will be right on this platform to make sure that you will be the first to know. And so I would like to end this communication here today. And if this is the first time you are joining us on the JMA Connections, please go right ahead and hit the subscribe button. And of course, on this platform, we share the link. We share the link as much as we can to make sure we continue to reach as many people as possible. And one thing we also do, we go down to the comment section and we comment. And we make sure we are being part of the conversation. One big thing we avoid here, personal insults. We don't insult people. We don't cast aspersions. No, we focus on the issues, on the facts. We address them. We can fight as much as we can on the issues, but not through insults. So keep it polite. Keep it on the facts. Okay, keep it factual. But I always promise, if you go out of this conduct and you decide to insult people, of course, I will delete that post. So before you go, do not forget to drop the like. Of course, those likes always go a long way. Thank you very much for your very kind attention. It was my pleasure being here with you this day until we meet again. I guess tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Have a very wonderful time on the JMA Connections.
My name is Asa Patrick Ndango. I'm speaking on behalf of 12 of us who were kidnapped by armed gangs and thugs of the Paul Biya regime and the government of La République du Cameroun. Since our abduction some 6 months ago, we have been held hostage at various hidden cells in conditions only comparable to concentration death camps with a singular purpose: to kill us. At the moment, we are held in a bunker at the said gendarmerie headquarters in Yaounde. If dying is the price that we must pay to guarantee our freedom and to re-establish the independence of our country, then it is a price worth paying. Whatever you do and whatever you think, please do not be afraid. Fear will kill you faster than any bullet. Think and act according to the righteousness of your motives. The decay, the corruption, the uselessness of the Paul Biya regime and what has become of La République du Cameroon must never become us. We are 1,000,000 times better than those. It is our individual and our collective responsibility to forge this new nation that we all dream of. Southern Cameroon, it is my country, damn it. As of Monday the 7th, to safeguard what we have been fighting for, we are beginning an indefinite hunger strike that we shall not stop, even if it means it has to claim us. We are prepared for the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. Joe Tam, Ayuk Ote Ayuk, Fonyu Terence, Tangen Thomas, Fabiano Deco, Angwan Benson, Tabe Edward, Kisop Bertrand, Kechawa Silva, Kuala Malvan.
Just please look at our condition of detention in this bunker. This is the worst bunker you can imagine. With an asbestos pen that will surely give us cancer in less than 6 months. There is no window. Just look at the terrible condition. No light, no water. In fact, if you look at our toilet, you'll pity us. Just imagine the condition the Republic government is putting us, Southern Cameroonians. It's terrible. Really look at that one and where we have to ease ourselves. Even animals are more better in life.
The GCE board has been in turmoil ever since it became clear to everyone that the papers or the examination questions were leaked out electronically and were being sold on black markets here and there, like you sell bread, like you sell fruits. And before they knew it, the questions were almost everywhere. Questions of papers that were still to be written. And it got so bad that it forced the GCE board to simply go right ahead and reschedule a number of papers. The GCE board was left with no choice but to reschedule these papers because I bet you the situation was so bad. Was so bad. The situation was bad. And right now, you have heard the stakeholders trading accusations here and there and all over the place. This is something that is somehow really worrisome. really worrisome. Yeah, it's a situation that is worrisome. And it got so worrisome that even the common man in the streets, they are beginning to talk. They are beginning to say things. And questions are being asked. What happened to the GCE board? To put this conversation in context, you know, the quality of the GCE examination had been dropping over the years from the time they stopped printing the question papers in London, from the time that the GCE was being, you know, set and administered in collaborations with the United Kingdom. So when they returned this thing to Cameroon, the standards began falling so bad, to the point where 1992-1993 academic year was literally sacrificed because of massive protests led by the Teachers Association of Cameroon, TAC, and its president at the time was Andrew Azonwara, who is now a staunch supporter of the CPDM, the same party that was doing everything to make sure that the people of the Southern Cameroons will never get what they want. And so the people were clamoring for the creation of an independent examination board. An independent examination board with no control, nothing whatsoever from the ministries or from the central administration in Yaounde. The fight was serious. In 1993, it was so bad that our parents, old fathers and mothers, got out to the streets in Yaounde. La République du Cameroon did not waste time doing exactly what it does on our people. Water cannons were all over the place, and some people received bashings in the eyes that they even went blind fighting for the GCE board. In the end, they're fighting for an examination board. In the end, La République du Cameroon, when they were really pinned to the ground, they decided to grant it but not call it an examination board, because they felt that examination board was more comprehensive and gave it a lot of powers and could give it a lot of autonomy, a lot of independence for their liking. Because they always have to be able to nose into what is going on in the Southern Cameroons, nose into the quality of our education, make sure they water it down to the point where we start training people as useless, permit my usage, as those that are trained in the system of La République du Cameroun, which is of course a system imported from France. Because make no mistake, France continues to participate at least 80% in defining the educational policy of La République du Cameroun. I mean France. And they should be at the origin of all of what you are seeing happening in the GCE board today. So finally, when the arm twisting was so much, they yielded and created the GCE board. But before they created the GCE board, they offered themselves something they never needed: the Office du Baccalauréat. And that was created first before the GCE board. The Office du Baccalauréat was created first before the GCE board, because that's what they do. When we clamor for something so hard, they need to offer it to themselves first before they come to us, because it will be an aberration to just give us what we asked. And so, over time, there were a lot of efforts. The fight had continued to keep the GCE board autonomous, to make it have some degree of autonomy. Yaounde kept trying to pull the strings, especially from the level of finances. But at the level of the operations, no, they were still at a distance. They were still at a distance until they discovered what they needed to do. And what did they need to do? Pick Nalova Lyonga from Boya and appoint her Minister of Secondary Education. And then they went ahead and used her to do what several years of trying had failed. When this thing just happened, when this disgrace became public knowledge, this is what Nalova Lyonga said.
I have left the GCE to work
All I've told them is that you have to digitalize. But if you go too much pressing them, they say you're putting pressure on them. I've left them to work. But I cannot leave. For how long am I going to let them do what they're doing? It's not that to let them do what they're doing, or to let the public do what it is doing on the GCE board. For how long are we going to have such exams? And they tell you that, oh, these are your exams. Is that how you run exams in Cameroon? Is there a difference? Somebody has to tell me. Is there a difference between standards in Cameroon and standards internationally? Is there a difference? No. And are we going to make the difference by having some stupid things that come out called exams that everyone knows? No. Standards are standards. International standards are for all of us. This is globalization. So a standard in Cameroon should be as good as a standard in Britain. And as I've said, we have a heritage, and I am keeping that heritage. And that's what Cameroon opted for. We have taken the heritage. Let us keep the heritage. Let us stop blaming people. It is not francophone. It is not anglophone. It is not they are taking this. They are taking what? Something which is already rotten. Why are they even taking it? We have to fix it before anybody feels like taking it. It's a rotten piece of thing. You know, we cannot have it. I have left the GCE to work.
Now, when I listened to this thing from Nalova Lyonga, I asked myself if she even had the time to listen to herself talk. If Nalova Lyonga had the time to listen to herself talk, what's she talking about here? What crap is she talking about here? What crap is that she's throwing out there? She says she left the GC board a free hand to work. Nalova left the GC board a free hand to work. Listen, when Nalova Lyonga 5 years ago decided to end the contract of the Cosmos Education Press that was printing the GCE board examinations, she was warned, she was notified, she was sensitized and educated to the fact that you are carrying this thing to go and give companies in Yaounde. What has been happening to the back examination will be what will begin happening to the GCE examination. Because the key of this whole thing is confidentiality. And we know that in the Republic du Cameroon, everything is bought and sold to the highest bidder. They don't bloody care. They don't bloody care. 5 years down the line, what has the GCE become? Nalova Lyonga decided to end that contract with Cosmos Education Press and transfer the printing, the handling of the most sensitive part of the GCE examination to Yaounde-based companies run by Betty Lodge, because she needed to curry favors to make sure she would stay in government as long as possible. She didn't care about the interest of the people of the Southern Cameroons. Dorothy Njoma had fought with all her might, even being a member of the CPDM Political Bureau. Dorothy Lemunga Njoma fought with all her might over the years to protect the integrity of the GCE board and the GCE exam. But when the baton passed to Nalova Lyonga, this is what she has done. Because she left from being a vice chancellor of the University of Boya to becoming Minister of Secondary Education. And Yaounde did not appoint her innocently. No, they knew why they were doing so. The purpose was they needed access to this GCE exam to do to it exactly what is being done now. And just so you know, the meddling of La République du Cameroon into the educational system of the Southern Cameroons is one of the main causes of, or is one of the drives behind this phase, the outbreak of this phase of our liberation movement. Because there were two things: our educational system and the legal system. In 2016, we had the lawyers, and then the teachers, and then the entire civil society of the Southern Cameroons, that joined them to form the consortium. So when Nalova Lyonga opens her mouth and is saying this trash that she's saying here, I thirst that someone reminds her that everything that is happening now lies squarely on her shoulders. Nalova Lyonga. All of this lies squarely on your shoulders. She's responsible for this trash that we are seeing now. Responsible for this crap. And it's not like she was not warned. She was carefully warned. And now she's talking about, oh, you're saying that they have taken over. Taken over what? It's not francophone. It's not anglophone. Like, seriously? Why did our people then go fighting? Some losing their eyes. Some losing limbs. Some even in the end losing their lives to get that GCE board. Why were we fighting for that autonomy? Nalova Lyonga, you are a sorry piece of embarrassment in this particular circumstance. And happily, I am not the only one who realized this. No, I'm not the only one. Happily, hear this young man out.
Here, Professor Nalova Pauline Lyonga, we are happy with your outburst of that the GCE has been monetized. But there are certain questions I will ask you. To be honest, big sister, this is Reverend Freya Charles Lyonga Matute from Small Support. Yes, your sister, most of you called me father because I bear the name Lyonga, which was your father's name. And I respect you a lot also because you bear Nalova, which is my mother's name, which was my late mother's name. But there are certain situations, to be honest with you. Small Support, to be honest, we're very proud of you. When we were small, we knew we had a scholar who was in Nigeria, who was here, and as we grew, we saw you coming up as a great scholar, and your performance, appointed from Vice Chancellor, this and that and that. It was the pride of your people from Small Support. It was the pride of the Mokwe. But before all, it should be the pride for intellectuals, it should be the pride for the country, it should be the pride for the world. But I would like to point certain things out. When you people, you go to school, you are intellectuals, you come and join politics, even your intellectual sensibility, even your intellectual know-how becomes a charm, becomes something I don't even know how to describe it. I will point out certain things. It was under your watchful eyes as rector of the University of Buya, that students were raped, students were killed. You called the police again to still protect those same people who did all those things and things like that. As if in Cameroon, whenever people misfire, they are promoted. Despite the fact that during a reign in Buya, there was just bloody everything. You were made a minister. As a minister, under your watchful eye, the GC board, which should, when they talk of a board is an independent body. But under your watchful eye, this independent body became privatized, and they took it to Yaounde. Can I say privatized? The government took total control as they want to centralize everything. For your CPDM decentralization that you are preaching is the opposite. You want to centralize everything. The GC board has been running perfectly well in the days when some of us wrote GC. We never heard of all these scandals. People used to do SPECO. That came out and exams were successfully written. I myself have been a teacher in the French zone under the baccalaureate board. What is happening today in the GC board is just exactly like what is happening in the baccalaureate board. So when this GC of a thing was transferred to Yaounde and everything centralized under your watchful eyes of the CPGM, what are you people expecting? Today it has become a laughing stock. You come out as a minister to even say the GC board has been monetized. It is not their position as teachers. You have handed over to the police. How did these monetizers enter the GCE board with all the security codes that they have, even during marking? What a shame. This is under your watchful eyes. I know as I'm talking now, many of our Bakweri people will come out to insult me Because most often we try to put tribe in front of reasoning. We try to put tribe in front of justice. We try to put tribe in front of everything. Standing as the head, the Minister of Secondary Education, it is your sole responsibility to bear them. If it is in Europe, you will be called to resign. If it is in America, it is a shame. You should be called to resign with all your collaborators. Under your watchful eyes, all these things are going. I quote it. Under your watchful eyes, students were raped, killed in the University of Boya. You were promoted to minister. See what is going on. Under your watchful eyes, the GC board, which was an independent board for the examinations that has been going on for years, they took it and centralized everything in Yaounde. You come today to tell us the GC has been monetized. How did they start? Where did the monetizers come from? And all those directors of exams, those in charge of decoding the papers, are they not appointed from your ministry? It's a shame. It's a shame. I know you people will send your envoys behind me to insult or say things. I'm prepared.
Now you see, when you have taken too much for the people to notice, the people stop being afraid of death anymore. When you have taken too much for the people to notice, the people stop being afraid of consequences. Because you see, to add insult to injury, after Nalova Lyonga, conscious of the fact that she is behind the destruction and the desecration of the GCE board, that our people fought so hard to achieve. She got up and tried to raise a tribal cabal to go after the transition team in places to say someone, of course, someone's head may have to be sacrificed. But because, oh, that transition team now is led by someone from that area now, from those people we don't like. So now she will come up and back. Oh, I left the DC board a free hand. What is happening there? No. Nalova Lyonga. People can no longer be fooled anymore. That's why this is your own brother. From your backyard, small support, drawing your attention and telling you. It's not an anonymous audio. He gave his name, described himself so well, so you should know exactly who is talking. And one thing he said, which I must reiterate, and I've said this over and over. No matter how educated you are in that triangle, once you join the CPDM, all that knowledge disappears. I can't tell you the embarrassment I had someday that I watched my own friend, a nice, intelligent, and very focused gentleman, my dear brother Mark Bolak. Oh no, that guy is a very intelligent guy, very focused, very resourceful, and always on the go around the world, dishing out knowledge in places which are very respectable. But then when he went to celebrate for becoming the first professor from one, he said he had to thank Paul Biyas for creating an enabling environment for him to become professor. I said, even my own brother, it has reached even us. As if you start flirting with that CPDM system, all your education comes down to naught. To absolute naught. That's what my brother said, and he's correct. That's what it is. You start reasoning like babies. Nalova Lyonga decided to reverse the gains that Southern Cameroonians fought, toiled, gave their blood, gave limbs, gave sight, and everything to achieve. Today, she should simply be proud of her achievement. This is who the people of the Republic of Cameroon have always been. So taking it to them wouldn't have, whoever expected a different result should simply be drunk. Even taking that examination forward in 2 weeks, I wonder if it will still have any integrity. Because the people who sold the electronic versions are still there. Those are people who sell their own identity for 2 bottles of beer. How much more of an exam? What does it mean to them? They don't even bloody care what it is. It's just so disgusting. And this is one of the reasons we have to fight tooth and nail until we get La République du Cameroun out of our land. Until we take back our country and restore the very soul of our country. You look at all of those demagogues. All of those people coming that are talking up, just hear them. They sound worse than toddlers from a kindergarten. Those ones can better articulate what is going on in the southern Cameroons than these people that may give myself the liberty to address as morons. Shameful. Hey folks, I want to thank all of you who were part of this broadcast. I would like to end here. And of course, trust me, I'll be looking up to I'll be looking forward to your feedback. And if this is the first time that you're visiting on this channel, go right ahead and hit that subscribe button. And of course, do not forget to share the link. If you are part of this live show, please share the link. Share the link as much as possible. That's what we always do on this platform, to make sure we reach as many people as possible. And of course, do not forget to drop your comment at the comment section. Make sure you are addressing the issues. Don't insult individuals. Let's stay on the issues. Of course, there's so much to say on the issues. Be part of the conversation. Be part of this liberation movement. And of course, don't forget to drop drop a like. I mean, those likes, they always go a long way. They're also a form of encouragement. And so if I were asking for title, the title I'll ask is a like. So I'd like to thank all of you for your very kind attention. Until we meet back on this platform tomorrow, Saturday, have a nice time and enjoy this beautiful piece as you go.
My name is Patrick Ndango. I'm speaking on behalf of 12 of us who were kidnapped by armed gangs and thugs of the Biyas regime and the government of La République du Cameroun. Since our abduction some 6 months ago, we have been held hostage at various hidden cells in conditions only comparable to concentration death camps with a singular purpose: to kill us. At the moment, we are held in a bunker at the said gendarmerie headquarters in Yaounde. If dying is the price that we must pay to guarantee our freedom and to re-establish the independence of our country, then it is a price worth paying. Whatever you do and whatever you think, please do not be afraid. Fear will kill you faster than any bullet. Think and act according to the righteousness of your motives. The decay, the corruption, the uselessness of the Biyas regime and what has become of La République du Cameroun must never become us. We are 1,000,000 times better than those. It is